It was once said of Major James Breathitt, a more daring, gallant, generous-hearted Confederate soldier never drew a saber or fired a cannon. He was a largely overlooked figure, but extremely significant to the Confederate Army's efforts in the American Civil War. The paradox of Breathitt was that he believed compassion was a virtue, yet functioned as both a doctor and an artilleryman in the Stuart Horse Artillery Battalion. His unique talents were witnessed by many soldiers, regardless of their loyalties to the Union or to the Confederacy. In the aftermath of the battles, he would care for the wounded on either side. The internal conflict of taking life and saving it, often in the same day, perplexed him as both a surgeon and a soldier.
Major James Breathitt was one of the real all-stars of the Confederate Army. There was a group of Confederate artillerymen, all with higher educations, and were just inspirations to the men. Major James Breathitt was one of them.
It's important to know what our past is and to understand it and try to put ourselves in the minds of those who lived that time. And that's really the thing that I really enjoyed about the book, is it gave me a chance to look into the mind of the people who lived at that time, some of the real tough decisions that they had to make, and how maybe I would have reacted in the same situation. When you read a book like this, you're always looking for parallels in your life and the life of the hero in the book. Then you get to the big conflict is, could I have done what he did? You know, could I have put aside my medical training and served in whatever army at that time? And that's a real difficult thing to understand. And I think that's why the book kind of is very interesting to me, in that it makes me think about it.
I've spent personally 12 years of my life reading and writing on Major James Breathitt. I wrote his biography, which came out in 2006, and now I have a novel called The Broken Circle. These books have made me the premier scholar on Major James Breathitt. He was an incredible warrior, and he was trained as a doctor at University of Maryland Medical School, but he adapted himself from a man who was set out to save life as a doctor to a man who became almost a killing machine in his use of the horse artillery for 4 years of the war. He was also an incredible leader. He was able to lead men into all kinds of circumstances during the war, and he himself would not lead these men into battle unless he himself was willing to go. He was also a compassionate man. He was trained as a doctor to save life, and in the final analysis, after he would shoot him up, he would go out and patch him up. And finally, most importantly, I think he was a man with a great Christian heart, and his soul was infused with Christ, and a profoundly spiritual man. And I think that is one of the things that when he would go onto a battlefield, as Stonewall Jackson said, he was as safe in his bed at home as he was on the battlefield.
To everybody that loves history and loves their ancestors and not ashamed of where they come from. Very interesting. A lot of people might be afraid what they find out, but you can't be ashamed of the past. You can't change it.
In my new book, The Broken Circle, the life of Major James Breathitt is told in stories of faith, romance, and the turmoil of war. Civil War-era novelist Thomas Nelson Page was heard to have said of Breathitt, "He was the romance of the Southland." Discover the man and his love, Molly McGill, as they navigate life in one of the most turbulent times in American history, the American Civil War period.